Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to talk about something very interesting, and I've tagged it "The Day Your Life Turns Around." But it's like a phenomenon I've seen in very many stories of adversity. Basically, someone finds themselves going through like a downward spiral. Things just keep on happening and happening, and a person just doesn't know how did they get to this position, and finally they get to the bottom of this barrel, and then that's how they start looking up and like, you know what, I need to get my stuff together. So some people call it the deep, others call it life-defining moment. Everybody gets one of those. So I do hope you get one of these so that you can see how far deep you've gone and then start pacing yourself to an upward trajectory. So I'm going to be sharing some stories of some of these stories, and maybe one of them resonates with you, and maybe you could share yours as well along the way. The first story is from a gentleman called Jim Rohn, passed on, legendary business philosopher. Now his story is this. So this is the day he called it the day his life turns around, and I think there's a whole audio on it. So on his side, basically a child, like a 6-year-old a girl, comes to his doorstep, and these were kids who were selling Girl Scout cookies. Like, I think it's like a fundraising thing they do in the US. I'm not from there, so that's what I think it is. So this kid comes, does a beautiful presentation to him to contribute to this cause of theirs, and then the truth is he did not have the money, and then he decided to lie to this girl. He lied to her. He lied to this little girl, and he just told her, guess what, you know, I got some of those Girl Scout cookies, and I still have some more, but when they're done, I'll maybe tell you when I'll tell you when they're done so I can make another purchase. The truth is he didn't have the money, and that's the day his life turned out. So going back to his house, he's like, you know what, is this who I've become? I've started lying to kids. So he looks back at his profile and is like, I have a college education, I have a family, I have a wife, and I still don't have money. And luckily enough, that's the day his life turned around. Like, that was his defining moment, and he decided from that point forward never to be in that kind of position again. Found a mentor, got into business for himself, and in a short while, like I think 2 years or something, he was able to get out of a financial rut. So that was the day his life turned around. Okay. Story is a lady called Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols, I think if you've watched the video of The Secret, she's one of the ladies in that video. She's a black lady with puffy hair. So that's Lisa Nichols. So hers, I think she just reached a point where she had done, as you know, she also took like a downward spiral in life. I think her boyfriend then goes to jail. She has a baby. Kept on finding herself in situations, so she didn't have money, and then the last break for her was she found herself in a position where she couldn't even put diapers on her kids. And the speech is done on a Steve Harvey show. It's a very short clip. If you watch Steve Harvey videos, you'll see like it's very impactful, and all she had to say was like, I think her son is called Jelani. She's like, Jelani, mommy will never be this broke again. And after that day, she decided to get her act together, and a couple of years down the road, that was basically what took her to give her the upward trajectory she needed. So that was Lisa Nichols. The story is a gentleman called Brendon Burchard. He's the author of this book called High Performance Habits. Very beautiful content. I think they did like a good research on this one. You can see the volume is not simple, not a very easy read, but then it's very impactful. So anyway, I think I've seen two light funny moments in his stories from the speeches I've seen. He had one where I think he was depressed from a breakup, and in that period he decided, I think, to commit. He tried to take his life or something. He was very depressed, but then he had this accident, and one of the books, I think, is called Motivation Money. No, I think Life's Golden Ticket and Motivation Manifesto. I think that's where the stories are, and he was able to get that tagline of his, did I live, did I love, did I matter? Now that was like a life and death situation. That's where he decided he got his first break for like a life-defining moment. So the second one is when I think he used to be in consulting, quit to do business for himself, and then he was struggling, living with his girlfriend, and there's this one day he talks about where I think she gets in the house and there's all these papers and bills on the bed, and she slipped under the covers and went to bed. And he basically looks back and is like, oh my God, this is, as in, how did I get here? And from that point forward, he decided to get his act together as well, had to figure out online marketing, and I think within a year, I think he had made over $3 million or something like that, or I think over $1 million, I think. Yeah, that's the storyline. Anyway, I'm not getting the figures right though, and that was his basically life-defining moment. So I hope you keep one of those so you can actually have more than one story. Now this one is one of those ones that I like, and I'm listening to this guy's audio at the moment. I think I'm listening to like the fourth time or something, and this is Grant Cardone story. So Grant Cardone is I don't know, I think 25 years old. He was very addicted to drugs, and in this particular moment he gets beaten up so bad, ends up in hospital, and his mom was like, you know what, I don't want anything to do with you. And he's I think he has like what, a twin brother and a sister. So basically his mom didn't want anything to do with him. Goes to rehab after that, gets out of rehab and decides, you know what, I'm done living like this. And after the rehab, he gets a sales job. Then he decided to be very committed to things that were positive instead of negative. And a couple of years down the road, here's here Grant Cardone's Be Obsessed or Be Average. Very good book, and you have to be crazy to find this book and actually pick it and read it, because you'll be like, who is this guy taking a picture of himself on his plane? You see, because this is his plane, on his plane, and then he's telling you be obsessed or be average. Why would you buy a book like that? So if you listen to audio, he's like, if you have this book, you're crazy like me. So I was like, actually, I think I'm crazy like this guy. And another book of his is called 10x Rule. So 10x Rule it was the first one. Then people are not getting solutions from 10x, and then he's like, you know what? For you to get 10x results, you have to become obsessed with what you're doing. So put his mind down, did a couple of things. He's in a real estate. I think if you've not seen Grant Cardone online, in your ad somewhere, something is really wrong with the algorithm. Otherwise, your feed has to actually have, if anyone is running business on something like that, you'll find Grant Cardone's book. So that was his day, the life turned around for him. So here's the last story for you on this subject. So this is I was having a conversation with a friend about what it takes for people to actually make some changes within themselves to get themselves out of like a bad situation. And there's this one, when we had this conversation, it actually made sense. I think this was also like a life-turning moment for the person who my friend was sharing me a story with. So here the story goes like this. This is a guy, let's call him Paul. So Paul loves his daughter, very good father, loves his daughter, but then he smokes and he drinks a lot. But then it wasn't like in that, like he was losing it. He was doing it, but he was functional. And his wife tried telling him to stop drinking and smoking that much, and he wasn't listening. So here comes his daughter. I think she goes to class, and I think there comes a time when they talk about addictions at school. So this particular day, I think it was like a Friday, they talked about smoking and why people smoke, the detriments, how far can things go wrong with smoking. So the whole time they were teaching them about smoking, I think this kid sees everything they're talking about was a picture of her dad. So when she gets back home, she asks the mom to let her wait for her dad. So she waits for her dad to come back. So this is a guy coming back home like at 3 a.m. Comes back 3 a.m. after his night out with the boys or something like that. And then the daughter starts to talk to the dad. It's like, I've been waiting for you, I want to talk to you. And she's like, you know what? We were in class and they're talking about smoking, and everything they were saying was the things you do. And even like, I think his eyes were looking a certain way, his lips were a certain way. And all the kid was like, Daddy, you need to stop smoking. You need to stop smoking. I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to die. Oh, now that was a heavy one on the guy. So story is, he did not sleep that night. And then from that point forward, he decided to lose the habit of smoking. So that was the day his life turned around. And the motivation was just the love of his daughter. That was really something. So eventually we're like, what actually makes a person change? And I think one of those is those triggers. Right, so what has this taught me as well? And what do I want to share with you guys? I think there's a couple of ways for you to change habit and stuff like that. I'm also working on myself, so I share this as well, because I'm also working on myself, right? I'm not the perfect person, but I'm sharing with you what I think I've seen around and what I'm learning. But anyway, so you can actually have change two ways. One of them could be these triggers, like Brendan had, Grant Cardone had, all the stories I've shared with you. Oh, this guy with his smoking and the daughter. So that one is like a life. You find yourself in a situation where you need to change because you're on a downward trail and it just hit the last point. So sometimes you need something external for you to realize that you're on a bottom and need to get back up, or you do it yourself. So the second way you find that change is through discipline. So most of us, you know the right thing to do. You know you need to eat healthy. You know you need to exercise. You know you need to continue showing up at work, because it's usually most of the things that happen on a wrong foot don't happen in one day. It's just one bad decision done every day that gets you to very nasty results. So I think the next way a person changes is through discipline. So you choose the trajectory which goes up, and then just keep on doing the right things day by day. Now that one is the hardest one, but the funny thing is this: whether you get the transformation through a life-changing moment or you do the discipline, guess what? Either way, you end up with the discipline. So why not just be disciplined and do the right things anyway? So that was the message for today. So discipline. And if you read the book, there's a book called by Jocko Willink where he says discipline equals freedom. If you've seen his books, he's a Navy SEAL guy with a tough face. Jocko Willink. His podcast is an interesting one. Very stone-faced guy, tough, US, I think Navy SEALs or something like that. But anyway, so discipline equals freedom. So to wrap this up, here's my question to you: are you in a downward spiral and you need something external to help you figure it out? Are you like that dad who is waiting for the daughter to give him like a pat and be like, guess what, you need to stop doing this? Or are you self-aware enough to know the right things to do and just keep on doing them so you don't take a downward trajectory? And I'm thinking, so two lessons literally: either you hit your head so bad that your life turns around, or you develop the discipline. So like I said before, discipline equals freedom. If you like the content, share with a friend and hit the bell icon if you need to be notified when something new comes in, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for having me and for your time. Adios.